I seem to go through these phases where I get really into racing games, and overall they should be something I should be very intrigued with. They have a lot of customization, a lot of things to unlock, and those are really the two big things that I'm looking for when I'm playing any video game. A year ago I got into playing a ton of different racing games on EA Access, or I guess they call it EA Play now. It's part of Game Pass, so if you want to subscribe to the service individually, or if you have Game Pass, there's a ton of good racing games on there because EA owns the rights to a lot of them, be them more recent ones like Need for Speed Heat, or some older titles like Burnout Paradise, which got remastered, which is a good one as well. Those games, while I made some reviews and whatnot on those, weren't perfect. As take Need for Speed Payback as a particular example. That's a game where you literally had the progression system hampered by microtransactions, and I'm playing Payback years after it was released, and I'm still dealing with the progression system where you're unlocking boosts, power-ups to improve your car via a spin wheel sort of function that you're encouraged to have microtransactions to purchase more spins on so you can keep your car viable to continue winning races going forward. It was disgusting. It was hated at launch, but obviously the decision to either grind or pay real money to progress in a game is not something unique to the racing game genre, and it's a common complaint of modern video games that you're shelling out a ton of money for. So take something like Forza Horizon, a game that I got into the 4th installment of recently, and will probably end up checking out the 5th installment. It's a game series whose players seem to hate it. In the same way that I've commented before, it seems like the Madden community hates every single Madden game, no matter if, there is incremental improvements. And it is frustrating that the improvements are incremental, but literally every title that comes out is the worst one ever in the eyes of its hardcore fan base. And Forza seems like the same situation. There are people who casually observe Forza Horizon, they casually play it, and they find the game enjoyable, and the people who are most invested in the game and in its community hate it with a burning passion but continue to play it. And it's this sort of weird contradiction, hypocrisy that I feel like is in every genre of video games to some extent, and Forza Horizon is no different. But what I found when I started playing Forza Horizon was really kind of the anti-modern game. This game is criticized for the fact that it gives you too much content. The map is too littered with too many things to do. You receive too many free cars. You receive too many in-game credits, the free in-game credits that everybody wants to buy things in the game without there being microtransactions tied to it. There's a spin wheel that unlocks extra content that is there as, kind of extra vanity stuff. Maybe it's outfit for your character, it's extra cars that maybe you don't particularly need. It's not hampering your progression if you don't get these spins of the wheel, but you get these wheel spins frequently enough that it's actually enjoyable to get them. In a lot of ways, Forza Horizon feels like the anti-modern game, and people hate it for being that way. But Forza Horizon as well is not perfect. I will say the biggest gripe that I have with it isn't the fact that there's any sort of microtransactions that's trying to sell me. The problem is the DLC content for the game. I don't own the expansion passes. I don't own I think it's the Fortune Island and the Lego expansion pass. And I should know that that's what they're called because I get around a 1-minute commercial for them every single time it feels like I leave my garage in the game. It's baffling to me that there's an unskippable practically 1-minute ad. I mean, it's hard to call it anything but an ad. It's a 1-minute trailer, I guess, for the DLC because I don't own the DLC. It feels like it's relatively frequently trying to sell me the DLC. I will give the DLC the benefit of the doubt from what I've heard from reviews, what I've seen online. The DLC is pretty well received, but for really all the Forza Horizon games, the DLC packs a good amount of content. It provides a good value for even the regular retail price that it comes out at. I have to compliment the Forza Horizon games on having great single-player action. I feel like there's a lot to do in the single-player world, and with the user-generated content that's put out, I don't feel like I'm missing a ton by not having the DLC. In fact, some of the DLC content is used in the user-generated content, and I love when games have very creative user-generated content, and of course that requires a very involved community and a game that has a massive install base so that these kind of things can seep through. You have user-created liveries, the designs for the outside of the car. Some people have these that are absolutely stunning in design. Others have created just incredibly engaging challenges and race layouts that I honestly can't appreciate enough because they add so much more replayability to a game that already is brimming with content even at its base game. And because this game has a massive install base, because it was available on Game Pass, it was, kind of a flagship title for the Xbox One X at the time in the case of Horizon 4, and the Xbox Series X is kind of flagship title in the case of Horizon 5. These games are very popular and have been played by a ton of absolutely creative people who have made amazing free content for the game, and I absolutely love that type of aspect in a game. And as someone who hasn't paid for Xbox Live in, well over 2 years and have had enough single-player content to keep me busy, this game feels like a great intersection of single-player and multiplayer content because I still see my Xbox Live friends driving around on the map. Because if they've ever played, I think, any Forza game on the Xbox One platform, their Drivatar, their AI-controlled version of themselves, essentially, is just roaming around the open world for me to see, to take on, and race. And it's kind of cool that even if they didn't play, say, Forza Horizon 4, and maybe they played 3 or 5 or something instead, or I think even if they just played a Forza Motorsport game, their data is in there, and their Drivatar is just roaming around the world, which, again, as somebody that doesn't have Xbox Live and can't actually play online against other live people, this is kind of a cool intersection of online and offline sort of experience. My friends and I are much older and busier than we were back in our high school days when we could all get online and play like Call of Duty together. So the fact that I can see them in a race with me, even though they're almost certainly not actually online or definitely not racing against me in real time, is kind of a cool nostalgic thing to see them all there together, even if it is just an AI version of them replicated off of their actual racing in game. For a long time, it's been pretty easy to be disappointed about the lack of Xbox exclusives that were very meaningful besides Halo, which I know the latest Halo was a disappointment for a lot of people. But I feel like I overlooked an entire franchise that could have been a great experience for me this entire time on Xbox, and I'm glad I'm getting a chance to take a look at it now, because in a lot of ways it's very refreshing and very much feels unlike any modern game today. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Bailey, and I will see you in the next video.